And a one, two, three.
Hello, we are back. We're
Yes,
back.
yes. And today I heard a
What do
lot
you
of.
want to talk? What do you want to start with?
Oh, where do I start? So I've been increasingly frustrated with the internet. I know we're on the internet. It's just ever since Google did that AI mode announcement, everybody thinks websites are being shut down. Websites, as we know, they're gonna be shut down. That SEO is dead. That CRO is dead. Now ChatGPT has a connection with Shopify, so e-commerce is dead too. And I just want to address a bit some the situation because there's a lot of weird agendas that are going on. I've just came back from Experimentation Elite, and I heard a lot of things that I want to address from a wider audience here. So first of all, AI mode functions on algorithms. Guess what? Search functions on algorithms as well. Wow,
Mhm.
beautiful. Oh, so you're gonna see something before the blue links. That's fine. It's nothing wrong with that, and it's okay. It's gonna help your search experience. Is this gonna reduce websites to nothing? No, because more than ever, you should focus on schemas and structure and JSON-LDs that you should always have done. You don't have to wait for the AI mode to be announced by Google so you can fix your fucking SEO. Three. Sorry, Stu. I was a bit. What?
Go on.
You're gonna get recommendations and bookings directly? Really? Have you been living on a cave? This has been happening for a long time. And you know what is under all of this stuff is machine learning and algorithms. That's how the search engines work. And they have been working for the last, I don't know, 20 something years since they exist. So, no, websites are not going to be wiped out of existence. And no, SEO is not dead. And no, CRO is not dead either. It's just that now, because we are working even more than ever with algorithms, you have to have a very clean structure of your website. You need to have a good structure of your data on the website so the machines are able to retrieve information to rank you or to show you in search results. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm
look,
just.
I appreciate a good rant against the general public any time of the day, but I do want to I see everything that you said. I see it myself regarding these people, making a big fuss out of it. But it is engagement bait, like
Yes.
most of it. Those people who write that stuff know that that's not the case. Like they're just baiting engagement, which is
Yeah,
really annoying that LinkedIn floats it to the top of the discussions. It's just not fair. I
it's
have my
co-op
own
farming.
like tangential rant about that coming up, but like the idea about like multimodal search and things being floated into the results themselves, there is a legitimate concern about zero click searches where like you said, like people should have structure and JSON-LD in place, and the you have to design websites not just for humans but for bots as well, like or crawlers and more intelligent crawlers, algorithms, models. But there is, like, I think one of the big problems is that the layer of abstraction that ML and AI mode, or what do you want to call those, introduces is that it's so difficult to discern what types of actions on the structure, what types of JSON-LD has a concrete effect, quantifiable effect. You never knew that with search, right? Because those algorithms are essentially hidden. You only have these correlation studies, but now it just seems like it's even vaguer. Like we are plunging into the black box, and it is frustrating, especially for information-based sites, to see their organic search dwindling, whereas their content is clearly being used for those zero-click results, which is, it is what it is. Like maybe you need to convert away from purely informational stuff and start focusing on brand or whatever, floats your boat. Um, but I do understand that. I do understand the general frustration. I definitely don't subscribe to the something is dead, which is really a phrase that should be immediately blocked by any engagement detection algorithms in those. It is frustrating, but um, I totally see where you're coming from, but there
Brand
is a kind of a
remember.
source of truth
Yeah.
to those frustrations, at least, maybe not to those claims
So do you
themselves.
remember that Rand Fishkin has been talking about
Yeah,
zero
for
click
sure.
stuff
Yeah, yeah,
for years,
yeah,
eons, not eons, and like
yeah,
I saw his deck to a presentation he did some months ago, where he was showing basically what is the volume of search on Google,
yeah,
And they were saying that 68% of all traffic on Google and searches are informational.
Mm,
Only 1% is transactional. So, of course, because people are researching for solutions and answer and so on. And that's why Reddit is growing, and because that is helpful people first content. So, like most websites nowadays, they're just so much focused on transaction and conversion that they don't optimize for information retrieval and they don't
mm,
optimize to answer to questions. So, like, at the end of the day, yes, it's going to be more difficult. Yes, you won't know exactly what to do, but that was the case also for the Google search in
mm,
general until there were those leaks that Michael King went over
mm,
and explained. And because it's machine learning, I don't assume many things will be different than just basically having good citations, good titles, just basic hygiene of a website, which
yeah.
should have been done. It's just as you said, like there's so many people that are benefiting from this doomsdayism
Mm,
because
for
they come
sure.
up with all these wrappers they build on top of LLMs in Lovable, and then they go to market and have solutions to everything. It's not like that, and I just don't like when I go to conferences and I see people perpetuating the stuff to people, and this is people that should know better. So I came back very frustrated.
Mm. No, no, I totally get it. Like it is a thing, and it's always something. Like right now, LLMs are an easy target because they are the incredible like peak
Yeah,
in engagement, in technology design, in everything, and people are just jumping on the bandwagon without understanding the basics. And it's just this is how these are the symptoms of that. Like these are symptoms of people rushing into something headlong and drawing the worst possible conclusions simply because they are easy to get riled up about, easy to gain engagement with. Like if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, have a level head. Let's see where things are going. Use LLMs to, assist you, not to replace you. Focus on the basics. Get your structure right." It's a boring message.
yeah,
It's
I
such a
know.
boring
That's my
message.
message.
Yeah, but it's so
That's what
boring.
made me say
You have
there's
to be
not
more
doing
interesting, Juliana. It's boring. Bait that engagement. Come on.
which takes me to my very
Yeah.
important second rant, and then I'll pass it to you. In February 2025,
Oh,
Juliana,
is this the thing about LLMs and reasoning?
yes, I'm
Okay, I knew this was
furious.
coming.
I'm furious. In February 2025, Juliana Jackson was minding about her day, and then she released this article that was very researched called Attention is Intelligence on her Substack, Beyond the Mean, Juliana Jackson, that's Substack.com.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I wrote this article where I was arguing the premise that LLMs do not use reasoning and they do not think, and they're just basically algorithms that calculate probability by using a method called tokenization of the shit that we write in the chat. So when I said that, I had half of fucking LinkedIn in my DMs. You're wrong. They do think. They love us. They're our friends and therapists and blah, blah, blah. Fast forward 3 days ago. Today is 11th of June. 3 days ago, Apple decides to release a paper that is not peer reviewed, but it's Apple, so I guess it's fine. They released a paper where they conclude that LLMs do indeed not reason or think. All fucking LinkedIn is, oh my God, this is a revolutionary work. I give up. And it's like if you look at their paper and my article, it's more or less the same shit. And I'm
Well,
like,
now I have to. Okay, so I have to throw the ball back at you. Like, are you living in a cave? Is this the first time you are on the internet? Because this is what people do,
off.
right?
I'm just pissed off. That's all.
Yeah, but this is what people do. Like,
When I go,
it doesn't matter if you were right. It doesn't matter if you came up with a thought first. Well, I guess there have been people saying that for a long time, but it doesn't matter if people argue with you in the comments. It's the same engagement baiters coming to those comments, both your comments and then to Apple's comments, saying the same thing. It's all part of the same phenomenon, and it's really annoying.
it's
It's like
pissing
the
me off.
attention span of the public it's just decreasing, and this brings up a larger point about kids and people growing up when this is literally the kind of world they are exposed to, like knee-jerk reactions,
Yeah.
pulling back your steadfast opinion just because you get a message from another channel. It's a sign of times, and it's really depressing. Like
Yeah.
it fuels everything from like asymmetric politics to like global warfare to how we combat climate change. It's like knee jerk, knee jerk, knee jerk,
No,
and it's
yeah, you're
super
right.
frustrating.
We're very, yeah, it's what it is. I'm okay now, but I was very salty about it, of
Yeah.
course. Especially since I saw people that knew that I wrote about this first than posting on LinkedIn. And I'm like, really, bro? So when
Yeah.
Juliana talked about this, nobody cared. But it also
Yeah.
gives me
Well,
some
people did care because they commented, but they just
yeah,
cared the wrong way, I think.
yeah, cared around. Like you're wrong. You
Yeah.
forced the model to give you that answer. No,
Yeah.
I did not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, this is all my rants for today. I
Yeah, but
do.
let me piggyback on your rant because I have something similar, and Apple is also related. So if I had a super, or if I could have one wish granted, like, well, okay, let's say if I could have 10 wishes granted, this would be the 10th one because it's not a very interesting wish, and you don't want to waste wishes. But if I had 10 wishes granted, this would be number 10. It's that I want to work for a corporation that has, you know, millions and millions and millions of followers online. And
Mm.
I want to be the person who writes their press releases because I could write a press release about something technical and end it with just a simple single sentence with something super vague and see an entire industry go ape crazy over what that sentence could actually mean. So what I'm talking about is the Apple had their worldwide developer conference just now, and they're coming out with a new iOS and Safari beta. And they added a little line into the privacy section of the new Safari saying that Apple will introduce their fingerprinting and tracking protection to the standard browsing mode instead of just in private browsing.
I saw that on LinkedIn. People lost their shit.
Yeah, and then people were started looking into what does this technology actually mean, and they found through documentation that hey, Apple actually strips away click identifiers like Google Click IDs and Facebook Click IDs in private browsing mode. And so now, of course, the industry went, or many people in the industry went crazy about it. And I'm still seeing content being posted on LinkedIn about this, saying that we're losing our tracking parameters. Some go even as far as to say that Apple will be stripping UTMs from all links, and no tracking will ever work again. So,
Sorry, it's just
so no, the thing here is that somebody at Apple wrote that, knowing I'm sure that they knew that this would come. An uproar would follow. And I already wrote a LinkedIn post about this, saying that in my opinion, this is again jumping the gun. We have to test the new beta, see what happens. I would be very, very skeptical if they started stripping away any URL parameters from all browsing. Because that would introduce a lot of breakage to the web, something that Apple is traditionally very, very averse to doing. What they will do is introduce fingerprinting protections, that's for sure. So, but aside of what the actual reality is, what I'm thinking about is the person who writes these press releases, and Google does the same thing. They write these vaguest press releases, which result in a huge shakeup of the LinkedIn sphere. Let's call it that. So, what I want to do is, if I were Apple, that's exactly what I would do, because I would write this sentence that we'll be introducing some pretty crazy tracking protections. See how the community takes it. See how vendors instantly start throwing around workarounds. Okay, if they do this, then we'll start doing this and this and this. So I'll take notes,
yeah.
and then when the actual beta comes out, I'll have 15 additional release things there saying that okay, we're gonna tackle these workarounds and these workarounds as well. Or I'll just see what the community, if the entire community is like, no, this is crazy, you can't do this, it's going to introduce breakage, then maybe I'll roll it back. So
Yeah.
I just want to be that person who writes the vaguest feature release note, and I just want to see the world burn as a result. And then maybe a couple of weeks later, I'll come back saying, okay, so here are the technical details. I was a bit vague. I mean, here's the facts. We'll only do fingerprint protection or whatever, because it's
fun.
I've said the word knee jerk like 15 times in this podcast now, but that is what it is. Like, why must you piggyback on a piggybacked on a piggybacked on a piggybacked interpretation by some person? And then you actually have evidence to the contrary in the comments of that original, post, but nobody cares about those comments because they're just
Nobody.
looking at the headlines. It's
Yep.
just, it's inflammatory, and it's kind of dangerous because now companies will be reaching out to their agencies saying, hey, I heard we're going to lose all tracking, like everything's going to be blocked. Remember, we started from fingerprinting and maybe some click IDs. Now suddenly everything will be blocked. And so it's enormous amounts of resources and just intellectual capacity being wasted trying to look into this. Of course, it has some positives as well, because more and more people are becoming interested in the technical side of things,
Yeah.
and they're installing the Safari beta and trying it for themselves. But again, what floats to the top of the feed is the most engagement baity, lots of emojis with alert signs,
I
obviously
hate-
generated by ChatGPT, which was down yesterday, by the way, and
remember
the entire world burned again.
I posted this status thing, and I said there's not gonna be no more thought leadership today, and indeed there
Yeah,
wasn't that much thought leadership yesterday.
that's another thing, by the way. This reminds me again of the. I think we've talked about it before about the XKCD comic with the little block holding the entire internet together, and it's like curl. But you could just as well say that the little block is ChatGPT, and the entire building is like all these SaaS tools built on top of the of ChatGPT without having appropriate buffers in place. Obviously, ChatGPT should come up with a status page,
They do
or
have a status
or they
page.
do have one now.
Yeah. I put a picture. I mean, OpenAI has a status page, and it looks at
Yeah.
GPT and Sora and the APIs and
Oh, okay,
everything.
good. Okay,
So I
then I was
posted a screenshot of it yesterday, and I said, "Watch this space because there won't be any thought leadership today," and
yeah.
it definitely wasn't. But the curious thing is that yesterday I was looking out of curiosity because I always look at this shit at the news headlines for GPT being down,
Mm.
and most news outlets were like, oh my God, it's down. Your productivity is in danger. These are the 10 things you can do to finish your work today. What is this world that we're living in? Like, we
Yeah.
cannot fucking use our brains anymore.
Yeah.
And I saw people on LinkedIn posting that, oh my God, ChatGPT is down. My productivity is at zero. I cannot get stuff done. Like, oh my God, are we really that bad with using our fucking brain? We cannot write an email anymore. Like, where is it all going to? And like, there's people. Listen, I'm hype about AI. I think everybody knows that by now. I only write about AI, but like, we also have to have some sort of fucking critical thinking to write a fucking email, like
Mm.
on our own. Like, how did we do it a year ago or 2 years ago? So if
Mm.
you look at yesterday news, like, I actually invite everybody here listening to go back to today, to the 10th of June, and look at all the news headlines. It's absolutely insane. Where people already lost their shit. It's I can't make this up. I cannot make this up.
Yeah.
But I will say, back to your point, because to not go there, I do think people on LinkedIn do not fucking read what you write in your post, or do not read the original article
Mm.
at all. And they just expect you to give bullet points or like some really dumbed down version because they cannot read. Like, apparently you cannot write emails, but you cannot read anymore as well.
Mm.
And they just read one sentence and then just like go off from that in the comments.
Yeah.
And then you come with reason. Yeah, it's crazy what's the what how things are being done today. I'm still happy to produce content still, but I'm
Yeah.
becoming more and more um I think cynical, and more like, I don't care as much as I used to.
Mm.
So I'm kind of like shutting shit down lately. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's just it. Like it is. It all like if all of this stuff just comes together in this, just how people use media or consume media these days, and just the attention span is so short, and I'm like genuinely worried for my kids into what kind
yeah,
of a world they're living in, and no matter how much we try to do our best to invite them to read as much as they can, and spend as much time on analog stuff as well, like the over careful over carefulness, I don't know if that's a word, but just being so careful about screen time and
yeah,
smart devices, and being online for kids. I used to think it was just hyperbole, but now that I'm a parent myself with kids who now, the eldest does have a smart device, I am genuinely like concerned about it, just because of the way that the content that they consume is typically like regurgitated into easily
yeah,
consumable bits, which often means like click headlines and engagement bait. So much of our time is now spent trying to figure out how do we educate them so that they can still actually open a book, or just read long form content, or just try to put things together in their own head without consulting a device. So
yeah,
it is a weird world, and seeing how adults who grew up before internet was so mainstream, or before social media, seeing them go so flip completely over because in their adulthood, and now thinking about kids who grew up in a world and don't know of no alternative, it is genuinely like apocalyptic. It's
yeah.
it's 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 very
They're
worrying.
digitally natives. We're
Yeah.
analog natives, but they're digitally
Yeah.
natives. That's what
Yeah.
they. I mean, look at my son. He's 14. I lost the plot with my son. My oldest. But thankfully, he started watching an anime from Instagram Reels, and now that anime is called Blue Lock. It's about football, so now he actually plays football. So he's not
Yeah,
rotting in
that's
the house
cool.
anymore. So like, but as you said, you have to have a diet of the content you consume, even as kids and adults. It's like what you put in that diet is gonna, because you might think in the moment, oh, I don't believe this, but the more you consume a specific type of content, the more it gets like programmed in your head, and then you realize like, you start believing that shit. That's why brain rot exists. You saw like the Italian brain rot with I know all the brain rots because that's the name of it. It's like what people consume. There's Finnish brain rot. I will send it to you on Instagram if you want.
Hmm.
I'll destroy your timeline. There's Swedish brain rot, Italian brain rot. It's yeah. Because my son always sends me stuff because he said that I'm old and I need to keep with the times. Yeah.
You ain't wrong.
But yeah, it's I don't want to rant anymore, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you talk about smarter stuff before we have a guest today. We actually have a guest today as well, so
Yeah. I
it's
don't
nice.
have any smarter stuff to talk. Well, I can say that about a quick simmer announcement. Like we are,
Yes.
as always, we are working on courses, and there's the new trial of BigQuery courses coming out very soon. We're like 8 months behind schedule at this point, so it doesn't really matter if we're coming out next week or after the summer. It's just we work on these things for extended period of time because we want to get them right. So BigQuery courses coming up. We're working on a couple of other courses. I can hint that they are revolving around R, which is cool because we haven't
Oh,
really
so cool.
built anything around that before. And then there might be some other announcements regarding upcoming courses later this year. Wink, wink. But we'll definitely get back about that. So Simmer, anyway, if we do sponsor this podcast, so if you want to take a look at our courses, use the code DEVIATE, DEVIATE, to get 10% off, and that's teamsimmer.com for some pretty cool online courses in technical marketing. Thank you for your attention. Oh, by the way, you can't use the words "thank you for your attention" anymore because that's what the orange blob in the White House uses at the end of all of his Truth Social posts.
Oh
He's
shit!
taken that over. You can't say "thank you for your attention" anymore. I almost said that.
I saw that. Oh, I will cut it down then if you want.
No. That's fine. That's fine.
But I
It's a
actually,
PSA.
yeah, because I saw on Reddit. I'm actually liking Reddit more than anything these days. Like I'm always on Reddit, and
Yeah.
I've been thinking about creating a real account on Reddit so I can talk shit
Oh,
from
good.
my real account. But I do see a lot of stuff, yeah, with the one who should not be named.
Mm.
But I'm genuinely enjoying how he's fighting with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I love it. I've been waiting for this moment, and it's so nice to see them both squirm.
It's fun, but unfortunately, the real winner is Putin again. So it's like,
Yeah,
for us, it's a sucky situation that they can't get their
yeah,
crap together.
yeah. Europe is crazy right now. I mean,
It is. Let's not
Romania,
go there. We almost ended on a high note. Let's not go there.
like, everything is fine, and we have a guest today. We have Tim
Yes,
Ceuppens,
everything is awesome.
somebody that we were supposed to have in the podcast, and we finally have him in the podcast. He's known as the data raconteur. He paid me to say this online about him. And we're gonna talk about
That's a
data
good use
story.
of money.
Data raconteur. We're gonna talk about data storytelling and presentation, something that we never talked about in the podcast. Simo.
True.
So excited. He's also client side, so it's going to be interesting to figure out how he presents data to stakeholders and gets buy-in. So let's go and get Tim on.
With just a small,
Oh,
uncomfortable delay. Hey
I
Tim,
feel
how are you?
I feel so appreciated now with that
You should. We
loud
never do that
applause.
for anybody.
And
Exactly.
exactly, yeah. And the people listening to this don't know this, right? But there's like an actual choir of people that are clapping that gets replaced every episode.
There
Exactly.
is. There is.
Well, welcome to our podcast, our little podcast. It's nice to have you here.
Long time listener, first time caller. Thank you for having me.
Cool. So Tim, I want to go straight into it because
Let's go.
I'm a practical person, and we had Dave from Eurocar Parts recently in the podcast, and we enjoyed actually talking to somebody client side because we have very specific shit that we need to uncover. And you're working for an e-commerce company. Do you want
Correct.
to name drop the e-commerce company?
Yeah, so if you're in Belgium and the Netherlands, Pit and Pit. Pitpit.com.
Okay.
So what do you do?
No, don't
Do you
make me say it. Don't make me say it. I am all right, okay. I am the chief marketing officer.
Shit.
I know, right? That's like,
Where's the applause when? Oh yeah, we had just
yeah,
the player
yeah, yeah,
home.
yeah, exactly. Thank you, thank you very much.
Cool. So as the CMO, like I know,
Yeah.
like listen, for people that don't know Tim, I know him from Measure Camp. I spoke after him, which was a very big mistake. And I will never do
Please.
that because he's a very good speaker and never again. But I just wanna. Tim is known for his expertise in data storytelling and presentation, and he has been doing really, really good talks about how you can
Mm.
use story arcs and different ways to position data in front of stakeholders. So, because we do have a lot of listeners that work in the e-commerce space, I just want to know, like, what is the biggest mistake you see as a CMO? That analysts do when they present data to stakeholders, specifically in the e-commerce industry? Like, where does shit go wrong, basically?
Okay. It usually falls into one of three buckets. The first bucket is presenting too much data. The second is presenting or starting to present and don't knowing where you want to land, or presenting and not knowing much of the context of what you're presenting. So these are the three, I would say, top mistakes. With the first one, and like the largest mistake, is always presenting too much. Because depending on how many people are around the table and how like if you're presenting Google Ads numbers to a bunch of Google Ads nerds, by all means go deep. But if you're presenting to like the CEO and the CMO, and I was in a meeting once where at my previous job where I had all the big shots in a room, and they were talking about bounce rates and add to cart rates and cost per acquisition and all of this stuff. What they wanted to do was basically cover their bases. But the problem was like half of the people in the room were like, "What are you talking about? Why am I here? How is this my life now?" Um, and the other half was just very, very interested and started asking too many detailed questions. And so um, that meeting got way off track. And instead of making decisions with every like that's a very expensive meeting, right? Like you have all of the people. There's basically no roadblocks in
But
that meeting.
if you have a meeting where you have all of the people, you've already gone on the wrong path. Like the mixed audience is a problem for the presenter as well. Like how do you focus?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's actually a good. Usually, I'd say yes. In this particular meeting, it was like we recently launched in a new country, and we wanted to get a view of okay, what's
Right.
the state
So
of the
kind of
nation right
unavoidable.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so that's unavoidable because basically it's a lot of money that was being spent on introducing the brand, and getting us in shops, all of that stuff. So obviously, these broad meetings, while you tend to avoid them, sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's might be going on a tangent here, but then it can be a moderation problem as well. Like you if you find the presenter going down a deep and dark path of going into the weeds, maybe somebody could rein them back and say, you can discuss this after the meeting in a stand-up session, for example, or something like that.
Yeah, I think you could do as well, but the problem is now you've presented it and you can't unpresent it.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so people take that
Planted the
information with
seeds.
them. Yeah. You can't undo what you just did. And so now that the information is out there, obviously, and once let's say once the CEO goes like, "Hey, this is an issue," now it becomes an issue, right?
That number is red. I need to be concerned about that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say to the CEO like, "Well, we'll take this offsite,
Yeah,
and we'll come back
that's
to
a
that."
good point. That's a good point.
And so, depending on the audience that you have, you need to be very careful. And so, especially in these broad meetings, don't present as much data. I mean, you don't really need it. Just think about what you want to say, and the minimum amount of data you need to support that idea. And then there are tricks you can do, but we'll get into that later.
But like when you go to these meetings, and I do go to a lot of these meetings myself, you have to present two types of data. You present interesting data and useful data. What's the difference from a stakeholder? Like for you as a CMO, like there's a lot of shit, like not everything is an insight, right?
All right, yeah. So I did a presentation a few years ago where I basically told about my cat when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, we had a cat, and she had a cat door, and so she could walk outside, and she would go walking outside, and then in the morning, sometimes, not a lot, but a few times, we would wake up, and we would come home, come down the stairs, and then on the carpet there would be this beautiful mouse carcass that's just laying there that our cat brought in. Usually she would sit next to it and she would point at it going like, look at this amazing gift that I gave you. Anyway, that's how I feel about performance agencies presenting data sometimes. It's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. This is interesting, but like, is there a point to this story? And yeah, so interesting bits. No, I want things we can take action on. I want things that we can do something with. I'm sure there's something interesting about us. So, for example, I worked for well, this is getting cut out. I worked for a electricity company, electricity and gas company. So, and they were presenting these slides like, oh, people between the ages of 18 and 65, men and women are almost equal, and there's like more. There's the same amount of interest in all the provinces of Belgium. And I'm sitting there going like, it's electricity and gas. Yes, the market is 100% of people. Why are you presenting this slide? This is there's we don't need this information. We can't do anything with this information. Like contrast that with, we had a meeting with our a shipping company, and they said like, hey, would you like to know who your customers are? Like, we've got some data. We can tell you who your customers are. They ran us through it, and basically it confirmed our entire strategy. So based on their numbers, that was interesting, but it also told us like, we're on the right path. We need to continue on the path that we're doing right now. But those are interesting numbers, but no action came of it. It was just a confirmation. So maybe sometimes confirming something, perfectly fine. Yeah. I feel
Yes.
like I'm rambling.
No,
But isn't it like a typical icebreaker tactic if you want to, at least engage the audience? This maybe applies to presentations to an unknown audience more than to like stakeholder meetings, but break the ice with something that they can agree with and confirm that, yes, there are indeed lots of 18 to 65 people in the 18 to 65 people group. Maybe it's like something to kind of then deliver the heavier news after you first
and
confirm that you
go
agree
on
on something.
bankrupt.
Yeah, like
Sorry?
persuasion tactics.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could use it like that, but again, like depending on who's in the room, it will just set off a discussion you may not want to have. Like, be prepared if you're introducing an interesting tidbit, for that tidbit to come back and haunt you later on. So you could, let's say, you could say, "Oh, we're underperforming in 18 to 24," and then all of a sudden, you get to social channels, and you say like, "Oh, we don't do TikTok," and then someone goes like, "Oh, hey,
Yeah.
we're underperforming in 18 to 24. Maybe we should do TikTok."
Did you never consider this option?
Did you never consider this option? And you're basically, now you're off script, right? You're like, no, that's not our, it's not our core audience, but so yeah, you're off script. Why would you do it to yourself to introduce these numbers that don't lead anywhere?
But I also blame stakeholders. I'm sorry.
You always blame stakeholders because they are
exactly.
typically just not good at what they do.
But I will say that there is
We
generally,
really suck.
They do.
no, I love them.
Yeah,
Love
me
you
too.
But the thing here, like, it's a process thing and a culture thing, because in companies in general, there's no accountability for the economy of insights and actionability, because it's easy to say data driven, it's easy to say actionable insight, but inside the company, there's no process that encourages you or incentivizes you to take action with data.
Okay.
And then we
So
blame the poor analysts that are trying their best to do a report or do an implementation, and they go in front of stakeholders. And maybe these people went in front of stakeholders many times with data. It's just that inside companies, there is no process, as I said earlier, that
yeah,
encourages and incentivizes taking action. It's just you try because you're afraid of your stakeholders, you just do this thing that I call comfort driven analytics. It's just inertia, so you don't get too in trouble. And also
let me
companies, yeah, go ahead.
let me
Go ahead,
let me
bro.
return that. Let me return that, sir, for you. Um, so what I would say is, when I used to work at an agency, one of the sayings I would have, it was in Dutch, but I'll translate it to English, is how can we make you more awesome? And so basically, we would always ask like, hey, what's important to you? What do you bosses? What do your bosses care? A good like substitute question, maybe not if you're working in an agency role, although you might get people who would answer it, is like, what are your bonuses based on? Because if you understand what the bonuses are based on, understand what's important to this particular person, and you understand what's important to the boss of this particular person. And so what you want is you want to give them small tidbits that they can bring up and make themselves more awesome in the eyes of their boss or their boss's boss. And so if you basically go, well, conversion rate was up 37% and it increased from 0.5 to 0.76%, no one's going to take that to their boss. But if you basically say, like, hey, we spent the same amount of money, and instead of getting 1 million, we now get 1,300,000 from it. That's 300,000 euros extra in the bank. All of a sudden, that's the number you get to take to your boss, right? So it's an easy example. Like, most people, I think, are already past that stage. But make it. Don't report metrics that matter to, for example, an ad platform. Report metrics that matter to the business, is what I would say. And then you'll find that these metrics are easily translated upwards.
So how do you think an analyst should proceed to get more business context to be able to
Oh,
deliver this presentation? It's like what would they do?
okay. Um, so there's this really interesting technique that I've called asking questions, and it's like basically asking, like, okay, where does this fit in? Where is your bonus? Why is this important? Um, I remember starting with a few agencies over the years, and even when I was working in an agency, I never asked those questions. I never asked, like, where does this particular campaign, where do you see it fitting in? Why is this important? There's this concept called commander's intent, right? Most people um, don't understand why they're supposed to do something. So commander's intent comes from World War II, where basically the Americans said, hey, I need your squad, so these were probably like 8 people, to take that breach. And most people in business will go, I need you to take that breach, period. What commander's intent is, I need you to take that breach because I want to cut off the Germans um, advancing through this particular valley. Now that squad knows what the actual object of the bridge taking is, and so when the bridge taking fails, they can basically go to Plan B in order to make sure that the mission is successful, even though the bridge isn't taken. So basically, that asking these questions
Mm.
allows you to know where it fits in and what to talk about and how to talk about it and what's important and what the metrics are that you should actually be using instead of the metrics that for example, ad agencies are telling you.
Do you think there's an inherent danger in just talking about metrics in general, like to avoid like Goodwin's law, so that the metric itself doesn't become the thing that people are thinking about, rather they focus on the outcomes instead? Or
I think that's a major issue, and I'm seeing that in our company as well. Um, Actually, I saw last week. I saw this placard. It was on LinkedIn. Someone had a placard from a restaurant. So please rate our breakfast 5 out of 5, and tell us if any problems exist, because anything less than 5 out of 5 is a detractor. And I'm like, shit. Can I say
Should
shit? I
steal
can say
that.
shit, right? Yeah.
I should steal that Simo for our podcast.
And so, like, congratulations on making it completely useless. And we're a very like a customer driven company, like properly customer driven company. Like, we don't just claim it. Like, if we get a Trustpilot score that goes from 4.8 to 4.75, we spend like 5 minutes a week like asking like, what did we do wrong? Whereas most people go like 4.75, that's great, and we're like, no, it's terrible. But even we fell for that particular bit sometimes by I think, what did we do? We changed the colors of the links, like the support links. So did we help you? And no was red, and green was yes, and then neutral was gray. And I was like, oh, we shouldn't have done that, because now like the metric is useless now, because we're seeing an uptick in customer satisfaction, but is it real? Is it, or is it?
Yeah, did
because
you
we
just game it? Yeah.
Yeah. Did we game it? So yeah, metrics. What is it? What is it again? So if once a metric becomes a KPI, it ceases to be a good
Yeah.
metric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once the measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Yeah.
So what you're basically saying is that analysts in general, like be it client side or agency, should focus more on the outcomes. So instead of basically going and reporting that we had 20% drop in conversion rate or 20% increase in conversion, we can say that we made this revenue this week because of this situation. So it's kind of like positioning things
It's
more.
difficult because the practice is called conversion rate optimization.
Yeah.
We are the entire thing is just
Yeah.
about
But
optimizing a metric.
this is exactly like what Sima says, is exactly the case. And so you need to take it, probably depending on the level you're reporting, like one step further, because like a conversion rate increase doesn't mean anything to most people, even if they're higher up in the business. Like our main KPIs don't include conversion rate, and they don't include it for a good reason, because once I spend a lot of money on advertising, our conversion rate is going to like collapse. And then once I stop doing that campaign, it's going to expand again. My hope isn't that we get the same amount of conversions from buying all of that traffic. No, my hope is that we get an absolute number that's higher than what I'm spending. And so I'm perfectly fine with the conversion rate collapsing. That's exactly what I expect. But that would be a terrible thing to report.
So, is there? This is my most important question, actually, because like I talk about similar things, but from a
Yeah,
different perspective. I do side with the analysts, of course,
yeah,
but I would
Of
say
course.
that you, as a stakeholder, because you are a stakeholder, you love you though. Um,
yeah. No,
tell me, like, let's say somebody came to you with this perfect analysis, as you would see it as perfect. Tell me, how did you take action from it? Be honest, Tim. Be honest, Tim. Like, there's a lot of people listening to you right now.
like
I-
no, like I would take action from the perfect analysis,
yeah,
or
like will you do? Okay, you get this good analysis, you get some good insights from it. Tell me, how did you
okay,
take action from it?
all
Did you
right.
take
I
action,
think
Tim?
it depends. Did you present to me what action I was supposed to take?
Well, the analyst is not the person that's gonna tell you what's the action, because they're not the subject matter experts.
But yeah, but okay, let's
But
okay.
what are they if but why are they called analysts if they like what did they do? They're
They're
just
the subject
reporters, right?
matter experts of data. But they're
Okay,
not the
but they
subject matters like experts of. I mean, yes, you can make some recommendations, but in the end would be the person that is in charge of the specific space. Like, I might
Uh,
tell you that, hey Tim, you have this three I don't know, clusters of clients that purchase one time and they never
yeah,
come back. and maybe you should look into this. So like you are the one that's going to decide to do a re-engagement campaign or to exclude this audience from your ads. Like,
Okay, but I think my question would then be like, why did you look that up? Did I
an
ask
analyst,
you?
that's what I'm
Did you?
supposed to.
Did no? But did I ask you for? Did I ask you for that data? And what did I ask you to create? Right? And I'm coming back to my what am I supposed to do with this story? Right? Like you if the intent is unclear, obviously it's going to lead to shitty outcomes because you're just basically saying like, oh, here are 100,000 people that we shouldn't probably target anymore. But
So you're
okay,
saying that the analyst should only stick to the brief that's given by the stakeholders and
Hey,
not look at any other data?
can I interject the absolute 100% correct answer to this? So
please
what you
do.
describe is Julian, what you described initially. I know that you were being like proving a point, but it was kind of a waterfall model where there's a task at one end and a recipient in the other end, and it kind of presumes that that's all you have. Whereas I think in a genuine situation, if you have the subject matter expert who doesn't necessarily have the skills to do the analysis, and then you have the analyst or the report person monkey who doesn't understand the subject matter, then you would have them
I believe it's
collaborate
called
like
AI now.
like it, you would have them iterate together, work
Yeah.
together in front of a computer, bouncing over. Okay. So it looks like this. Could you then do this query? Okay, interesting. And then, so you wouldn't have a situation where Tim is just dropped with numbers, and then
Yeah, I don't think.
somebody expect him to.
Yeah, I don't think I ever like received a set of numbers, right? And it's like a conversation where I remember we had a business problem a few days ago, and I basically asked like, "Hey, can you pull that up for me because I'm not a huge data stack expert," and this person pulled everything up, and basically is like, "Oh, this is interesting. Can you dig more into details there?" And then like it's not like a data puke. It should be a conversation, no?
Mhm.
And if it isn't a conversation, what are you doing there?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I don't.
you think there's room for a process where someone just delivers numbers and the other is expected to
No, I
act on
think
that?
that as an analyst, you shouldn't color within the lines of your brief. I think you should always look for other stuff too. Like you should be curious. And I think like if I was to work in client side, which I'm not and I won't, but if I was to work in client side, I would go deeper than what my brief is because a lot of stuff that happens in data is not gonna happen into a perfect little circle that, the stakeholder wants to
Mhm.
exist in. And I think you should always look at
But
errors, you should
yeah,
always look at deviations, you should always look at things that are not. That's how I approach like everything. It should be an exploratory analysis, and you shouldn't color within the lines, because if you look at just the customer journey on the website and you don't look at the customer journey in the app, or if you look at campaign performance but you don't look at search performance, it's kind of like you're not getting the answer. It might be that it's not within the brief, but I think it
But
should
that's
be.
just that again presumes that there's a situation where you're just given a brief and there's no negotiation or
Well, that's
conversation
what Tim
around it.
said, that he didn't ask me for those numbers.
No, but Tim, sorry, we're not. Tim, you can leave the podcast. We're not going to talk about.
yeah.
We're
Thank
going to
you,
put words in
thank
your
you
mouth.
for having me.
No, but
Do the applause, and then I'm just.
but Tim did mention the conversation part, so it should definitely be like a
And I think
collaboration and iteration.
yeah, and it should be like I think where we as a business tend to go wrong is not communicating about the intent. Like, what are we? What am I? What do I want to do with this?
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, we dramatically increased our activation rates,
Hmm.
up 50% year on year. Now I want to know, like, why are the other ones not activating? Like, is there what's happening there? Okay, and then we picked up the numbers, and what, lo and behold, like, we sell, I think 80% of what we sell is our own brand. We have a few other products that are different brands. lo and behold, it's because people came in to buy a different brand most of the time, and not our personal brand. So now there's actions that we can take, right? Because we can basically um, we can push some more of our own stuff. We can push. So all of these things came out of that insight. Like, okay, there's a huge uptick. Why aren't we upticking even more? And then having someone look at the numbers and seeing like, oh, hey, this is interesting. Like, there's a massive skew towards third party brands in the not activating customers. And now we get to have a conversation of what we want to do with it. We want to increase activations more. We want to understand like what's going on. Yeah. And so intent, I think, is where this all comes back to, because then you, as the analyst, can look at dig deeper in the numbers, as you say, but dig correctly deeper in the numbers, because you can basically dig pits everywhere, like theoretically. And you may not want to dig at that particular location. You may want to dig a little bit further to the right.
Well, that's the point of exploratory analysis, Tim Ceuppens. Just for everybody
But
listening.
if you dig too deep, then you unearth the Balrog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I love that. Sorry, we're big fans of Lord of the Rings. So I just want to know
The
for
dwarves
people
dug
that
too deep.
Let me tell you,
remember
I
that
prepared
name.
I prepared this conversation with a Lord of the Rings reference.
Oh, nice.
But no, it's cool. Like for people listening, I'm not grilling Tim.
No, no.
We're actually good friends, even if he's a Manchester United fan. And
Ugh,
yeah, and you.
Liverpool fans.
I think Simo's a Liverpool fan too, right?
No, I don't. I don't watch the Premier League. I watch Ted Lasso now, so I'm
I'm a Ted
wherever
Lasso
wherever
fan.
wherever Wrexham
AFC
and AFC Richmond are. That's what I've had.
Richmond to the end, till I die. Yeah, that's right.
So I want to focus now on some practical stuff.
Yeah.
You have this framework that I want you to share with our listeners because I think it's super important. It's about the story arc, the Pixar story
Okay.
arc
Yeah.
that you use. So when I met Tim and I listened to his presentation some years, I think 3 years ago when I met you, you were basically showing how can an analyst position insights and data into a presentation to make sure that it helps stakeholders make decisions or understand better. So like I think it would be really valuable for our audience if you share this framework with them so they know more about how they can do it. So like tell us more about the Pixar story arc.
Okay. So, have you ever ruined Pixar films for thousands of people listening to Standard Deviation?
I can't
Um,
say that you did.
okay. So basically, most people don't understand how a story works and why a story works. And so, if you look at it at its core, Pixar are master storytellers, and each Pixar film you can dial back to 6 steps. And the first step is once upon a time, which is the situation as it was before, um, until one day there is change, and then because of that, there's a first order effect, right? There's something that happens. Because of that, there's a second order effect, until finally, and then there's lessons learned. Whereas most people begin with like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, but it's not clearly defined what all of these things are. But I find like if you use these steps, let's see if we can fill that out. So once upon a time, we sold 30% less sneakers than we expected. Every day, this would cost us 30,000 euros. Until one day we ran Hotjar forms and we noticed that it was absolutely impossible to select a particular size. Because of that, most people dropped out in the first step of the funnel. Because of that, it was absolutely impossible to order, until finally we fixed it. And lo and behold, now we're selling the exact amount of sneakers that we expected to sell. So basically, this is a pretty simple story framework to get you from start to finish, and also ticking all the boxes of what people need to know. And you can fill that out for most things. I mean, it's very generalistic, right? It's very it's not very specific. for each and every case, but it'll do the job for most cases if you want to talk about something.
No, I think it's cool, and a lot of people I actually used it as well after I heard it, from you. I obviously adopted it. So you see, I'm showing love to Tim for everybody
Yeah,
listening.
thank you,
I
thank
think
you, thank you. After first destroying me
Yeah,
for
kind
the
of
first
forced.
half of the point, I
no,
can
but
see the
basically,
guilt.
how would you put this into a deck? Because I actually prefer to do decks versus dashboards and reports these days. I actually prefer
Yeah.
to do a really good deck that tells the story versus
Mhm.
creating a dashboard and let people figure out and get annoyed. So,
Okay.
if you were to say how you can create the perfect deck, if you are a freelancer, if you're an agency and you're listening, what are you as a CMO expecting to see in this deck? Is it a lot of graphs? Is it a lot of numbers? Do you want to see recommendations, next steps? What would the perfect deck would look like
So
from an analyst, how they can build better communication tools with you?
So definitely not a lot of numbers. I think give an example of walking out of a meeting to take a phone call and walking back into the meeting and seeing a slide with 30 numbers, some of them gray, some of them green, some of them red, some of them yellow, uh, on the wall, and 6 very bewildered people staring at it, going like, "What am I supposed to take away from this?" So definitely not numbers. There's a reason for that as well. Is um, Basically numbers are very complex things for us to analyze as with
Mm.
our eyes, I mean. Whereas if you use a graph, there's a couple of advantages that come with it. One, because you use a graph, you can now give more context. So let's say we had 30,000 sessions this month, right? If you use it on a graph, you can basically take the last month and plot those numbers day by day, and you can now see like, oh hey, this is interesting. Traffic completely drops in the weekends, um, except for this particular weekend. What did we do differently there? Stupid example. I mean, very stupid example, but you get my point. Like a graph always gives you more context, and you get to, let's say we slice that session number up in another way. So instead of doing it on a day by day basis, let's say on a channel grouping basis. So we take our 30,000 and now we do a bar graph, and we basically show, oh hey, half our sessions come from organic search. Okay, 20% of our sessions come from email. Now we get to have a different discussion. And so basically, visualizing numbers also makes them more memorable. Instead of having a table with, let's say, the same amount of numbers, so it'd be like organic search 30%, emails 20%, you wouldn't necessarily recognize those numbers later on. Whereas because they're visual, we tend to take that up into our like memory a lot better than a dry table. So definitely visualize them. I'd say it also make it clear like, why is this good or why is this bad. What is the context that I'm probably missing? So whenever I present, I always give the example of like Jurassic Park, because it makes it very clear who the good guy is and why you should root for them. It makes it very clear who the bad guy is. This would be the dinosaurs. It makes it very clear what the stakes are. You would get eaten if you lingered too closely to a T-Rex. And by the way, you also know you're going to be fine because the hero is a kid. So obviously, Steven Spielberg's not going to kill the kid. So at the end, he's going to make it off of the island. The fun is understanding how he makes it off of the island. And so basically use these techniques as well. Like, okay, who's your villain? Why is this bad? Who's your hero? Why is he good? What angle should we present? I think I like bringing it back to movies because most people know movies or have a feel for like the storytelling of movies. So let's say Titanic, which is a very difficult story to tell, right? So there's a ship, it runs against an iceberg, it sinks, there aren't enough lifeboats, 1,500 people die. How are you going to get into that? How are you going to tell the entire story of that journey, of that ill-fated journey, these 4 days? You can't. if you don't have two people who are interesting and you want to follow. And so what they did is they created two people and they took them around the ship. And that's the angle that they took to present the entire um, the entire journey of Titanic. And if you think about it, Jack and Rose take you everywhere on that ship. There isn't a single place that they don't visit, from the bowels all the way up to the deck, all the way up to the final plunge. That is masterful storytelling, because it would be so easy to basically come in like have come in at the moment of the accident, doing all the chaos, but you wouldn't care necessarily. Whereas I bet you all of my money in my pockets right now, which is about €5.20, that both of you were in a movie theater at the moment when the iceberg appeared and went like, "Don't hit, don't hit, don't hit, steer, steer to the left," and then it hits. That's masterful storytelling. And the way that they did it is by taking in like a particular angle and focusing on one set of, actually two people, focusing on two people and taking them throughout all of it.
I never thought about it like that, but you're right. But
Well, I mean,
also,
the genius of the movie is that decades after it was released, people are still debating whether they could have fit on the same door.
They could have fit on the door.
Exactly.
It has been proven. There should be no
Exactly.
debate. There should be no
Exactly.
debate.
But
No debate.
that's what the emotions of the public is hinged on. Not, Jack and Rose surviving or whatever. It's the door.
The door.
The
He
one
could have
little
fit on the
tidbit
door.
that
Could have fit on the
arose
door.
out of the beautiful disaster and the amazing storytelling and the cinematography. And
Yeah.
it's all about the door.
Exactly.
There's an analogy there somewhere that you guys are free to exploit. But
what is that door in Data, though?
Ooh, good one. That door in Data. Oh.
What is that door? For
we'll
both-
return
probably-
in the next episode with an answer to that.
No, it's probably like a bar chart. No.
It has to be something that emerges that's not the focus of attention, but emerges as the most interesting thing in the presentation after all. The one that you didn't imagine would take off as much as it did.
Oh,
I
so
like
it's a
that.
story about a cat.
It must be. Or Juliana's adopted pigeons could be that as well.
Yes. Okay, I have a last question for you because we are almost at time.
Okay.
How do you feel as an e-commerce person about the Shopify GPT thing and the AI mode and all this shit? Because I'm actually curious, and be very careful what you say.
I have okay, to take the Titanic analogy a little bit further. I remember seeing the presentation at Google I/O last year of AI mode, right?
Mhm.
So
AI
this is like
overview.
the AI overview. Yeah, right. AI mode is what they presented now. And I basically, that was on Monday. On Tuesday, I had my one-to-one with my CEO, and I basically said like, this moment is the Titanic hitting the iceberg, right? And when Titanic hits the iceberg, for the first 30, 35 minutes, probably 45 minutes, nothing seems awry, and they're having trouble getting people into lifeboats. I immediately told him, like, we need to get into a lifeboat and we need to get off of our search addiction, because they are going to come for each and every single cent of our margin, because they're going to go to one overview with one answer and one winner. And the only way that is going to logically end is if that one winner gets 1 cent of margin. That's it. And everyone else is out of the game. And they're going to own customer relations. They're going to own payments. We are not going to know where we need to ship it. We're not going to know all of that stuff. They're going to take all of that away from us. This is the moment that the Titanic has struck the iceberg, and we need to get off of this boat right now. Slightly dramatic, I'll admit. But not less correct. So what are we doing? We're transitioning into becoming like an actual brand. So we're trying to become a household name, and to get off of that particular thing. So what do I think of it? I think it will drive the e-commerce sector more in a race to the bottom, towards the most commoditized products, the lowest prices, and we want to stay far away from that. But other than that, I mean, it's good news.
other than that.
Well, I hope you guys fit on the door.
Doors.
Cool. Well, before we wrap up, I know you're going to speak next week at GMS.
Correct.
So what are you going to talk about?
What we basically talked about. And Disney.
Okay, nice.
And sing
Nice. So
songs. Yeah. I'm going to desecrate the old Frankfurt Opera building for the... No operas will ever be allowed to be held there ever again. Like, they're going to have to bring in like aura cleaners from the far side of the world to disinfect that stage once I am done with it.
Please record it and send it to me. Cool.
You can ask Els.
Oh, she will be there. Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, where can people connect with you? You're sort of on LinkedIn, but you're not.
I'm sort of on LinkedIn, but I don't really do the showbiz bit. Also because I kind of noticed that I took all of this money and time and effort to spend like researching a post, and then I get like 5 likes. Or I can stand next to a Measure Camp flag and go first and get 600 likes. And so it's not worth it to me. But you can reach me on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn. You can also connect with me on Blue Sky, which has become my refuge since Twitter turned into a shit show.
We already know as far leftist by the people on YouTube. That's what we were called, so it's okay.
Oh shit! I thought we were going to also like we should actually get some snowflakey thing in here. No,
Snow person.
Snow person, right?
Yeah, that's discriminatory.
That's what got us in trouble in the first place for saying snow person. But that's cool. And the Measure Camp Brussels happens in November.
November 15th. Yeah.
When is the first ticket release?
That's a good question.
Great.
I should know, but I don't. I think it might be this month. I think it might be in June.
Awesome. I really recommend anybody that hasn't been to Measure Camp Brussels to go. Is really, really great. And I heard they're serving stoufless this year.
I think you heard wrong about that. Seeing as Google is not picking up the tab, but we are.
Okay, so there will be no stoufless.
There will be no stoufless.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming over today. We had a lot of fun. And I hope you have a great time at GMS, and I want to hear how you desecrated the opera. That's always fun. And thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.